Have you ever hit that brutal 3 p.m. energy slump where you're just staring blankly at your computer screen, hoping for something, anything to help bring your energy back for the day? You're not alone. The bad news is what most of us end up reaching for is usually gonna make the problem worse in about an hour after consuming it. I'm talking about that vending machine candy bar or that extra caramel latte that you've been thinking about getting all afternoon. The good news is it doesn't have to be that way if you have the right items in front of you. So today I'm gonna talk about why that slump even happens and a really quick option that you can have on hand with you to make sure that you are ready when that 3 p.m. slump hits. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we break down health science without the BS. And if you're like most of my audience, you're probably either falling in the bucket of like a busy professional, an athlete, or maybe just somebody trying to practically optimize their health. And you've most likely probably also experienced that 3 p.m. energy crash. You know, when your brain feels like it is just hauling through molasses, and then your focus tanks, and then that deadline starts to feel really impossible to meet by the end of the day. So here's what metabolic science actually says was happening during this slump. First off, around this time of day, your glucose levels can be on a little bit of a roller coaster. After lunch, especially if it was a carb-heavy lunch, your body decides to pump out insulin to help manage that glucose. But most of us tend to overcorrect just slightly, especially when we've had a carb-heavy lunch, which leads our glucose to drop below baseline. And your brain is extremely sensitive to these drops. Fun fact, the brain uses about 20% of your body's energy, while it only weighs about 2% of what your body's weight is. So when blood glucose drops, your brain immediately starts sending signals like, we need something. And what are the things that we typically reach for? Well, they're usually like sugary or starchy foods, things that have quick access to glucose. And ironically enough, these are gonna be the exact same things that perpetuate the cycle all over again. Sugary snacks that allow for a quick glucose spike and then a crash, caffeine, which can give you temporary energy but often masks the issue, or you just try to power through and do nothing at all while your brain is literally fuel deprived. You know, like the company-wide email that you accidentally send out with a bunch of typos. It's not a good look. But here's the cool thing. Research on energy management shows that this afternoon slump isn't inevitable. It's actually a very solvable issue. The key is actually just balancing your intake to avoid the dramatic energy peaks and valleys that leave you exhausted. So there's actually 3 things that will determine whether your energy will crash in the afternoon. Number 1 is protein timing. So we're talking about having adequate protein throughout the day. This helps to maintain steady energy levels and provides your body with a constant stream of amino acids that it needs to utilize for focus and clarity. The second thing is fiber and fat balance. These things actually slow digestion down and help to provide sustained release energy throughout the day. And the third thing is to avoid sugary traps. And I'm not even just talking about like candy bars and cookies and croissants. I'm talking about things that are traditionally marketed as even like energy bars, which is kind of ironic because they end up actually causing the issue that they say that they solve, usually due to a bunch of hidden sugars and refined carbs. And this, you guys, is why I was so excited when I found savory bars. So no lie, I actually found these when I was researching for a client of mine, a good option to help beat the 3 p.m. energy slump. Quite literally, that is how I found them. She wanted a savory option that had enough protein and was going to not spike her blood sugar like crazy, and I came across these. So I had to try them for myself and see if they're actually like the solution. And I gotta say, guys, they did not disappoint. And I found them to be quite the great 3 p.m. slump beater. And they're not just some random energy bar. They've actually really based these bars on a lot of good nutritional science to help prevent this kind of energy slump situation in the first place. First thing is that all of their bars have at least 20 grams of protein. That's about what you get for like 3 eggs. So second thing, these bars are clearly savory, not sweet. So not only are these bars not gonna give you that quick energy spike and crash, but because they are made with delicious savory flavors like tomato basil and cheddar jalapeno and cracked black pepper, they actually end up triggering different satiety pathways in the brain versus sweet tasting options. And lastly, savory bars are made with like real ingredients. There's no fillers or hidden sugars, pretty much just good whole food ingredients. So fun fact, I used to be vegetarian and I would struggle with these energy crashes like constantly. Looking back in hindsight, I was clearly over consuming a ton of carbs and not enough protein. And here's the thing, guys, like I've been testing these out for the past month now and have been recommending them to my clients. And I can tell you, they've been working beautifully. Quite literally, it is 3:19 right now. And this is like the perfect slump buster. And I guarantee you, I'm gonna feel like satisfied and energized until dinner. I do think this one's my favorite flavor, the tomato basil. Solid. But seriously, some of the things that I've noticed over the past month of incorporating these savory bars in my daily routine has been that I don't have dramatic 3 p.m. energy crashes. I will usually actually take little bits and pieces of these savory bars like throughout the afternoon, and I am like completely sustained and feeling great throughout the afternoon. Now, You can have it in one large bite if you want to, but I find because it is like substantial and something to chew on, I kind of want to like break it into pieces and snack throughout the afternoon with it, and it just keeps my energy so stable. The second thing I've noticed is that I don't have to have more coffee in the afternoon, which has been actively something I've been working on because it affects my sleep. And lastly, something that I always notice when I'm consistently fueling myself throughout the day and not having all these like energy crashes in the afternoon is that my mood is just better. Like, nobody wants to be hangry. Nobody wants to interact with somebody that's hangry. So the best part is that I'm pretty consistent mood-wise throughout the afternoon. Quick caveat about the savory bar that I think is worth mentioning based on my observations and some of my clients' observations too. The flavors are not like in-your-face Dorito-like explosion of flavor. The flavors are more subtle, like demure, mindful, very cutesy, which I actually prefer because I don't get palate fatigue with them. I'm not like so overwhelmed by flavor that I don't want to have more of them in the week. So that being said, if you do decide to try savory bars, don't expect to have this like mind-blowing cheddar chive flavor or cheddar jalapeno. It's going to be very subtle and very I'm tasting notes of kind of a vibe. So here's my practical advice for practicing nutritional energy management throughout the day. Number one, prevention first. Make sure your breakfast and lunch have adequate amounts of protein and fiber to set yourself up for stable energy. Second point is timing matters. Don't wait until you're already crashing out in the afternoon. Have something like a savory bar around 2 p.m. before your energy starts to crash. Third thing is hydrate. If you're gonna have something like a savory bar in the afternoon, make sure you're hydrating alongside of that to really increase satiety and help with digestion. And last point, just try some different flavors out. I mean, if they're savory bars, you got plenty of options from tomato basil to whole wheat biscuit to cracked black pepper, lots of options there. And even if you're going a different route, make sure to have some variety of flavors and options. Look, in a perfect world, we would all have like perfectly prepared meals every single day that would be wonderfully satisfying and would meet all of our energy demands and needs. But in reality, we often need practical solutions that fit in our busy lives. I always say work for plan A, but also make sure you have a plan B and sometimes a plan C in place. That's why savory bars have been such a clutch choice in my routine. And if you're interested in checking them out, I'll put the link down below in the description, or you can use code Victoria at checkout. And if you do give them a try, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. All right, guys, thanks for watching. May your brain be happy and your energy be stable, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.